I recently watched the Japanese film Perfect Days, and it really told me why I love film photography. And I love the main character in it because he is a film photographer too. But the whole movie is this meditation on day to day life for a janitor in Japan. And he has all of these daily practices and daily routines. And he always is looking closely at things around him and really feeling and seeing and hearing what's around him. I recommend it. It's a great slice of life movie and it's really interesting, especially if you're a photographer. It really told me why I like film photography because it is about a process. I think when I'm working with a roll of film, it takes me a full week to actually go through the whole routine. So I have to go in and choose the film from the camera store, which is great because you can go in and you can talk to the clerks. They can recommend things. I picked up some more Phoenix 200 this week and then something that I'd never heard of called Electra. I have no idea what it is, but I get to try it out and I'm really excited for that. I also shot an event yesterday with Kodak Ultramax, which is something I haven't shot with before. I think it's a common film that a lot of people use anyways, but it's something that is a new experience for me. But the whole process is I have to go in, I have to talk to the clerks, get their recommendations, load up the film, and then each shot is going to teach me something about what I'm doing with the camera. I have to be careful to set all my settings correctly, and I've ruined quite a few rolls of film so far, and I have to be very attentive to what I'm doing. And with digital photography, it goes very well with my impatient personality. I like to just kind of bulldoze my way through projects sometimes, and there's a time and place, obviously, for digital photography. It, in fact, is most times in most places. But something like film photography is good for my soul because it makes somebody like me slow down, be less impulsive, and be more attentive to what I'm working on, what I'm doing with my hands, what I'm doing with my eyes. Am I looking around and finding things? And it's just so many different more things to pay attention to, and so many ways in which if you don't do those things, it goes wrong on you. I love digital photography. It's what I've shot every single one of my projects with. Every time I've gotten paid, it's been with digital photography because it's precise, it's accurate, and it's really, I would say it's a lot easier to do than the film photography. But what I really love about film photography is I get to take a lot from what I build there and bring it into the digital photography, because I think with digital photography you should be careful. You should be looking at your shots as if you were shooting on film. It's just that you don't have to. But I think when you carefully slow the process down and you are attentive to all of those little details, you can see how they are actually replicated very well in digital photography. Things like your white balance, things like the different themes that you choose for the color settings in your camera. Obviously, you pay attention to those things, but you can see with something like film, you kind of have to really stick to that and then adjust while you're working on the project with your lighting a lot more. And so I think that the two actually translate well and you learn back and forth between the two mediums too. And the process for shooting something in film takes me usually a whole week or maybe even up to 2 weeks because I have to go and pick the film out. I have to load it into the camera. I have to go somewhere and do something, find something interesting to shoot. And then I have to go through the whole process of going through and taking very careful shots, 24 to 36, depending on what I have. And then it's taking that film back to the developer or to the store, depending on what you're doing. Then you have to wait for a few days for them to actually develop it, scan it, and then send it back to you. Or if you've made it far enough that you're just developing it yourself and scanning it yourself, there's another part to that cycle as well. So it's this whole routine that's kind of built into your daily life because you're always working on it every single day. And I like stuff that I can work on every single day because I feel like if it's not built into my daily schedule, then maybe I'm not attending to it as much. I think unfortunately that's why I did get a little bit away from digital photography, because I think it's something you can go out and complete a project within half an hour if you really wanted to. You can go out and you can shoot something, you can come home, put it on your computer, edit it or not, and you already have some images that are ready to go. The whole process of film really breaks down that whole thing into a lot of little blueprint components that you really have to pay attention to what you're doing at each segment. And if you don't do any one of those segments accurately, the whole project gets ruined and you have to kind of start from scratch. And so I really love that about it. And again, for me, it's a teacher because I need to be slower. I need to slow down. I need to not rush things because I think that's what has the worst impact on my photography is when I'm just trying to get projects done and hammer things out. So it's been a blessing for me to get into this because it's just a different pace, and that's the best part about it. I also ran into another film photographer yesterday while I was out shooting just street photography at an event. And it was cool because we just got to talking, and she told me about what camera she was using, and she told me about a certain company that was close by that actually develops film and helps you kind of figure out how to get better colors out of your film and everything. So the other good part about film is that it seems to have sort of a built-in community because there's just not that many people doing it. And so when people kind of see it, I've had a couple people at car shows and other things that I've shot come up to me and ask me about the camera. And so I think that there's that opportunity to build some community within it as well, just because it is a very niche sort of thing that people are not as into because it has sort of a pretty high or steep learning curve and barrier to entry. I think this is the photography that's really just for me. It's something that's aside from the digital photography, but it's under the same umbrella. But I think just like the character in the movie, I think that it's something that is just starting to become more built into my day-to-day life. And so it's more of a personal project and more of a, I guess, a meditative project that I'm working on. And I think it's helping me to improve my own character and not just my skills as a photographer.
今度ね。
今度っていつ？
今度は今度。
今度っていつ？
今度は今度。今は今。